Unbelievable scenes in Oslo as Norwegian fans witnessed for the very first time in the history of the tournament their side advanced to the quarter-finals of the World Cup, beating Brazil by 2-1. Craig Burley, Shaka Hislop, Jermaine Jones alongside me, but they are all bit part players in today's show because it's all about Jan Åge Fjørtoft, the former Norwegian international who joins us now. Jan, try and put into words exactly what this means to your country.
I've tried to do that, Dan, and I must say, my wife has told me when you get older, you will be easier to get tears, and I've been in tears, and as you, it's like unbelievable. The whole Norway has been public viewing today, whole Norway, and they've been rowing, they've been doing all the different stuff, and even my wife, who I've never seen on a Norwegian shirt, I got a photo of her in a Norwegian shirt. Hello, I played for Norway, but now it's. I mean, we are a small nation, but we are a big sport nation, and I don't think that people from bigger nations can understand how much this means for us, for a small nation. There are some of them at this World Cup. That's why I say this 48 nation has not been bad, because the euphoria around the world has been fantastic. And yeah, I'm sitting all on my own in Salzburg because I'm doing TV and the other channel had the game. So I'm the only Norwegian who was lonely tonight, but I'm glad to be with you guys.
What was your reaction when Erling Haaland scored those goals, Jan?
Well, there is a time when you just have to stop being amazed of him. I mean, they're building up. He's playing against Gabriel, and then Sheldrup, who came on for Nusa, made a perfect cross. He's kind of a tower. And not only does he win the header, I mean, the speed, the strength of that header is like unbelievable. And then you have the 2-0 goal where he's just standing there against Brazil, against Alisson, and he makes his 7th goal. His stats getting more and more ridiculous. And I mean, guys, we've been there. You talked to me, so we've talked so much about Erling Haaland, but he's now doing it on this stage as well. And he's not playing for one of the biggest nations, but he's playing just right now for one of the best.
If you'd watched Norway in qualifying, you'd know how strong they have become. They've come a long way. That being said, I didn't think there's only one man.
Yeah, Jermaine kept banging on that he predicted Norway to win.
He predicted. Well, Shaka wasn't here, so it's only.
Yeah, I predicted them as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you knew they were going to be a threat, and what was surprising was, well, maybe not a surprise watching Ancelotti's sides and watching Brazil, but how much territory they seceded to this Norwegian side, and yeah, they had their chances.
This was the missed penalty, obviously, a big moment.
Should Vinicius have taken it? Should Guimaraes should have taken it? They've been swapping these. If you look back in the recent games, there's been a lot of different penalty takers, so they haven't got one set one. They had a lot of chances. Endrick come on, had a great chance, but the way Norway passed the ball around with a confidence, particularly in the middle of the park, was quite something. And of course, you've always got that threat up front. The 2 wide players being changed was a big call. It was a big call in the France game in the group stages to make 10 changes, I think. But that's paid dividends because in the heat of New Jersey, they were fresh and they were fit and they had some rest. And it's just an amazing story. I mean, from Brazil's perspective, that was an extreme. Although they created chances, they are out. That was an extremely negative, un-Brazilian-like tournament stroke performance where we saw very little of the flair and the samba and the noise. Did you hear the Brazilian fans in the crowd? I don't think we heard them in the crowd. So the Norwegians quietened them, and the big man up front did what he does. Doesn't have a lot of touches, but he's in that area, 6-yard box for that header against Gabriel, who he's had many battles with, and he gets one up on him today.
What a story, Shane.
It really is. Listen, I think you have to kind of highlight that battle between Gabriel and Erling Haaland because of what we've seen at club level and the feeling that that tussle between them and Gabriel as a centre-back has the physicality to cope with Erling Haaland probably as good as anybody in this tournament. Yet, shoulder up, stands across up and Erling Haaland just towers over Gabriel. Fantastic finish. The beauty, or the ease of this Norway team kind of taking control of this game comes at both ends of the park. You know that you've got Erling Haaland up at one end who can score half chances like nobody else in the game today. But then there's a growing, of course I'm going to see it this way, there's a growing confidence with Nyland at the back who just looked unbeatable on the day. Everything that was thrown at him, deflected at him.
That save at the end was
the entire performance from beginning to end was simply outstanding. And looking at this from a goalkeeping perspective, or maybe more to the point, from a defender's perspective, when you know your keeper is in that mood, when you know he's having one of those days, it allows you to play with a little bit more confidence, a little bit more freedom, and that's what you saw. I think from back to front, Norway were way better than Brazil. The result should not surprise anybody, given that.
It doesn't surprise you, Jermaine.
Not really. No, but if you look at the whole game in the beginning, and we all know it when you're there, if Brazil scores the penalty, if they score with Hendrik, the chance they had is a complete different game, right? So, but as long as it stayed 0-0, Norway started believing in the goal coming more into the game. And then I said always, like with the guy like Erling Haaland in the front, he's proving it. Not only he's proving it everywhere he's going. He scores goals without even having a lot of chances or even touches on the ball. So, you can see that he loves being in this tournament. He loves to do jokes on social media. He's involved with everything, and you can see he's really enjoying this game. So, and I always said it, a striker who's so comfortable and confident in himself and enjoying it is a dangerous target. So, and if you see how he scores his goals, it's unbelievable. So that's why it was for me not so surprising. If I turn it around to Brazil, like we already said here, it's not the Brazil what everybody has in their mind, the names you hear, but if you look at the game, it's not like the oversteps and the one against ones, and it's more like slow football. And at the end, they waited to only play on the transition, and I don't think they deserved to win, and that's why they lost.
33% possession. I know possession is not the be-all and end-all.
But this was planned, wasn't it, from Ancelotti, in the sense they said, fine, let them have the ball, we'll catch them on the break. Which, to be fair, almost worked with that Hendrik chance.
Almost, but didn't. And again, you go back to people like Jose Mourinho and others who are defensive-minded. When it comes off, people accept it, and when it doesn't, you're going to be criticised because there's an expectation in certain countries that how you go about things. So when you change that mindset and mentality and change the tactics, you damn well better be successful because you're not exciting the public. There's nothing exciting really about this Brazilian side. And as you well know, I bang on about the 1982 World Cup. They didn't win it, but they had Socrates and Zico and all these players. And I played against Brazil in '98 and France. You couldn't get the ball off them. Couldn't get the ball off Dunga and Rivaldo and Ronaldo. And yet here's this team, and it's probably down to Ancelotti and down to the fact they don't have as many superstars as they once did. But they got overrun in the middle of the park today. We talked about it. Zanderberger just was winning second balls, strolling through the middle of the park. Martin Odegaard was picking up a lot of space. They dominated the middle of the park. And that allowed them to control the game. So that's fine from Brazil. If you go home with a World Cup to Rio de Janeiro and you've played a defensive game, you're going to be lauded. But he's going to be hammered now because
they knew what they were getting into, though, didn't they? When they hired Ancelotti, this sort of style, we've seen him employ this. No, but where he's had so much success.
Yeah, but I maybe stupidly thought there was going to be a little mindset change with Ancelotti because it's Brazil and because there's an expectation and because he does have some players that can turn it on, but he took his sort of Real Madrid mantra in recent years, which you're right has been successful, and he tried to use it with Brazil, but he didn't really have the players because you're asking a team that's not noted for defending to defend their way to win a World Cup. Yeah. And what have we talked about? What did we say yesterday? The teams that have been negative in this competition are going home, and you can add Brazil into that pot. Yeah. They've been negative in the way they've approached the game. They tried to, I think, just before we came on air, Jan was saying it, they tried to suck Norway in and almost did 2 or 3 times where Norway gave the ball away in the first half needlessly and almost get punished. That was their game plan. But they were negative and they haven't been successful and they go in that pot of a team that's uninspiring at a World Cup and they're on a flight home. Yeah.
To Craig's point, Craig's saying that there are some players who can turn it on. I disagree. There's one player that can turn it on, in Vinicius Junior. Outside of that, I think this is a desperately underwhelming Brazil. Casemiro is...
We knew that, didn't we?
But we knew that. We absolutely knew
but
that.
don't you still expect a little bit?
No.
When Cape Verde and I don't want to keep going on, when these other teams can go, they don't have, by the way, Cape Verde do not have Vinicius Junior, I don't know if Rafinha's out. There had to be more squeezed out of that juice, more juice out of that lemon.
But it's my question. As a coach, Ancelotti, we all know he's a top coach. But he can only work with what he has, right? So right now, you said it before the names, right? We know, Rivaldo, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho. Yeah. There's like Robinho. There's so many. But if you look at them, they all were been players, individual one-against-one players. They were completely different style of play. Right now, you have only one player like that. So, and the rest has to try to...
But Jermaine, they're still better players, arguably, than some of the Norwegian players.
Yes, but
yet Norway could play like that.
And I always said, I believe that jersey, the Brazil jersey, is a really heavy jersey.
Right.
To have that, everybody accept or thinks that you have to play like the names you mentioned before. So,
let me tell you,
that's tough.
Go on, Jan.
Let me tell you a bit about the Norwegian team, as we were saying that Brazil don't have good enough players. Let me tell you a bit about the Norwegian team. In goal, the man of the match today was Erling Haaland. He has played 7 games for Sevilla this season. He has played more national games for Norway than he's played for his club. He's 35 years of age. 14 years ago, he won the cup final for my club. He was 21. He was saving penalties for fun. On the left back, we have a reserve from Wolverhampton Wanderers, who's playing there, who is going up and down today big time. Hegem Ayer been told all years they haven't been good enough. That is our weakness. I thought it was a weakness as well. Ryerson went into the game with an injury. In midfield, we have Sander Berge, who is a great number 6 for Fulham, not a top star player. Then you have Patrick Berg, who is having these quick feet, who Casemiro and his friends couldn't cope with today. You have Sheldrup, a young kid coming on, playing for Benfica with his confidence. Oscar Bob, sent away from Manchester City, hasn't had a great season for Fulham. So don't come with this that Brazil can't get something out of the play, because this is a big effort by Ståle Solbakken to make this team go into the quarterfinals, to put a team together. And thank God have we seen at this World Cup that the teams that want to do things, want to go forward, being positive, enjoying being at the World Cup, are winning. Look at Brazil, adios. Look at Germany, auf Wiedersehen, because they didn't want to do it. Norway today had 3 times as many passes as Brazil. They were much more positive. They had a 67% of the ball. So this is from Norway and Ståle Solbakken. I have to give him a compliment too. Last time we lost 5-1 to Austria away. There were some idiots in Norway who said Ståle should leave his post as a national coach. He arrested 10 players against France because he said, we've learned from, I remember myself playing in this shirt in 1994. I couldn't move because of the humidity and the temperatures in this country. And he's always done what he wanted to do. I love Ancelotti. I have the biggest respect of Ancelotti. But today, he was big time overcoached by a Norwegian called Ståle Solbakken, period.
He plays Alexander Sorloth as a big lump of a striker at Atletico Madrid who doesn't always play. And he plays him on the right wing. Okay, he comes off at half-time, but he was a good outlet for them. So, you know, I think it's too easy now. I think it's too easy for managers now to say, don't have the players.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have the players. Other managers, other coaches, maybe less well-known coaches, make the best of what they've got. Make it work in a different way. And I feel I just feel so disappointed. Not that Brazil are out, I couldn't care less. Norway's a great story, but I feel very disappointed in the way that they approached this game, this tournament. And I thought Ancelotti would bring something a little different. And quite frankly, he has brought very little to this Brazilian team.
The penalties you mentioned, Jermaine, was kind of a bit of a game-changing moment. What did you make of the way that Bruno approached it, took it, and the decision that he was the penalty taker?
Yeah, it was a poor into I would say like even a bad penalty. But then at the end too, the goalkeeper has to first jump in that corner to make the right save, right? So, but in general, like I think there was again we can discuss. He never shot a penalty before
for Brazil.
For Brazil.
Yeah.
So normally it's Vinny Junior, the one who shoots it. So you have to ask your question, why was that decision made? You know, then later Neymar comes in, then he takes the penalty. So again, Jan Åge is completely right when he says, like, that's why I said even before, I believe that Norway can win this game. Because yes, you have, and it's proven in this tournament already, that some countries have bigger names, but it's not always the bigger name on the field. It's the collective as a group who works for each other and believes in something. And today you was able to see it too. Yes, Brazil can score with the penalty. They have a big chance to score, but still Norway stayed in the game.
Yeah.
And at the end, Brazil is out. A big country is out, where everybody had us with one of the favourites. In Norway is going to the next round.
And depending who gets through and depending who they get in the next round, I don't think, honestly, do not think.
It's Mexico or England in Miami.
I do not think Norway take a backward step against any of those teams.
No. Nope.
Not one step back whatsoever. And I'm talking about if England do get through, which is a big if, but they're obviously the more talented side with a deeper squad. But if I was Norway, I would not be frightened of any of those teams whatsoever.
Who do you want, Jan?
England. Of course I won't. Not because it's just a tradition that we love English football. Norwegians love English football. We had some great battles of them with Margaret Thatcher, Can You Hear Me, and Lady Diana and Bjørge Lillelien back in the days. I played against England in a qualification game, beat them at Ullevål. But I think that is a great story that we're going to meet England. But I think that it's all down to Norway, because I don't think it cares who we play to, because I think the confidence in this team now is that we play the way we do. The big change between this generation of players, this team, when you compare it with my generation and the generation between that didn't qualify for a big championship, is that we can now rest with the ball. We have good football players in the team that sometimes we can go long, because that is a get out of prison to play up to Erling, but we are calming down with the ball. And although we lost the ball, especially in the first half, in some dangerous areas, 3-4 times, even Martin Ødegaard, remember at the 18-yard box there when he lost the ball there in the first half. Martin is so important in that, because he is our kind of conductor. He's the one who kind of keep the tempo in there, and they're always looking for him. And a Sander Berge and a Patrick Berg in there, they know the hierarchy. So they will give him the ball because they know 9 of 10 times he will keep it for us. So I don't care. I would love to meet England, not because I think that we can beat them. I think that it's gonna be a 50-50 game, but just the tradition and our connection to English football is brilliant.
Yeah. Norway against Mexico or England? Who would you want if you were Norway?
England.
Right.
Yeah, England. I think it's just the physical side. I think will fit better. The players know them. You know, they know each other. And
that helps you as an opponent?
Yeah. I would say this: if you already have most of the guys or some of the guys playing in England, and so I think it fits you better if you look at it both teams. Mexico is a team, they will play a little bit dirty. They will play a little bit, So, and I think the English roster, the English team in general, fits Norway better.
Right.
Familiarity helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think in England you understand who they are. I think England have been less consistent than Mexico, without question. You know where the threat is, and that's in the form of Harry Kane. Outside of that, everybody else has been decidedly average and probably being kind in that. So if I'm Norway, kind of understanding that and understanding the physicality of the English game, and again the inconsistency, that's who I'm leaning towards.
Yeah, because you think about it. You think about it if you're a defender, and if you're more familiar with players, if you're a fullback or a centre half, you kind of know what tricks some players are going to play. You know if a striker's quick or not. So if if you're playing against a particularly quick striker that you've played against in the Premier League or somewhere in Europe, you might just give yourself a yard or two more. Whereas the element of surprise sometimes when you play a team that you're not so familiar with their players, you're figuring that out during the game. Mm-hmm. Well, he's quick, I need to drop off, or he's slow, I can press and squeeze the game. All those sorts of things that would be more familiar if they played Norway. Of course, they will do their homework on Mexico if it is Mexico, but still, those little nuances of the players, the English players, a little bit better.
So in theory, England or Mexico, then if things go as they should, maybe Argentina, then France in the final, Jan. Easy peasy.
It's so easy, isn't it? I mean, tonight we feel like we can beat Mars, the Moon, Saturn, Jupiter. But I mean, that's where we are now. When I got like 1,000 messages from Norway, and the good thing now, there were like 200,000 people on public viewing in Oslo, and they were all planning now after the game. If we won, they will all march up, do the rowing in front of the palace, and try to wake up our king, our old king, who's unfortunately for them is on his cottage with his queen. But still, it's this togetherness. I'm right there now. I mean, one thing is the tactical thing. One thing is the way we managed to win against Brazil. But what will stay there for all Norwegians now is this feeling, what we have done. I mean, we've had some golf success. We have a tennis. We have athletics, obviously on ski. But this is the biggest tournament of them all. This is the biggest sport of them all. And we're in a quarterfinal, and I can't believe it. I remember when I was there in 1994, we couldn't score a goal. We scored one goal. We're a group of death, and they sent us home. And now we're in the quarterfinal. It's like unbelievable feeling and proudness.
Well, Victor Hovland won the Travellers' Championship, didn't he? A week or so ago.
He did.
So, what, I mean,
No one cares about that. Thank you very much, Jan.
He's Norwegian.
Beautifully put. Much appreciated.